everybody. This is Steve Monday, Chief Forecaster with the Rowan County Weather. We've had this person on with us before at the start of soccer season. We've got her back on now toward the end of soccer season. Actually, our first repeat guest, if you will, Coach Lauren West with Carson. Coach West, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. I like being the first repeat guest on here. That's nice. That's a
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely. So when we last talked, soccer season was really just getting started, at least for the boys. And so now we've gone through, I want to say 19 games, if I remember correct. Your team is 8-3, so 8 wins, 8 losses, 3 draws,
Yeah.
and they're third in the conference, I believe, if I remember seeing that as well. So when we talked, it was we assumed it was going to be a rebuilding year, but it seems like the rebuilding year is going pretty well.
It is. We're so young. It's always kind of hard, like to put your finger on something. And I've said before, I'm kind of like a glass half empty type of person. I never go in like extremely optimistic about anything. I always gotta kind of expect that it's going to be extremely harder than it is, so that way I prepare myself for it. And when we started up practicing, I looked at my coach and I said, I thought we were going to have to start from scratch here because we have so many new people. I mean, we graduated 12 players, 12 seniors from last year. It's typically a struggle to kind of get people to mesh and play together. But, these guys really want it. They have that work ethic, unlike any other team I've ever coached. And I'm just really proud of them. They've grown tremendously. Our big push every year is just grow and grow. As a program, grow as a player. And this year, for the first time, I don't want to jinx it. Gosh, I'm afraid I'm going to do it. But it looks like, we're sitting 24th right now with our RPI rating, and that is what they go by. The state goes by for playoffs, and we're 24 out of 30 that might get into state playoffs if we win the games we should. But in this conference, there's never an easy game. So there's not a team that going in that you're going to just blow out or win. So we're going to have to fight for everything that we get, and I think these boys are up for the fight. So very proud of them, very pleased, especially when you have a team that has 4 total seniors on it. So we're very young. So pleased with what they have been doing this season.
Yeah, certainly has been great to follow along. I have yet to get to come out to a match, but I certainly see. I've been to a few of the football games there, and I certainly see some passion in your team because you guys have been there selling glow in the dark. I guess they're necklaces or bracelets or something that kind of help support the team. Tell us a little bit about that real quick.
We so one of the things that we've been trying to do is raise a little bit of money because Carson's such a young school. It really doesn't have a alumni base like a lot of these schools that have in Rowan County that have been around for a while. And so the alumni that have graduated from Carson are just kind of getting started in life. And so we don't really have a lot of donations and money coming in from alumni association, anything like that. To kind of offset some of the costs of, just basic things you would need, like soccer balls and things, paint for the field to mark the field. I mean, all these things add up. And so we fundraise every year. And so this year I kind of told the boys, is like, look, we've already done like our main fundraiser. So, anything that we make, maybe selling some of these glow necklaces, let's just give it a shot and see if people would actually want them, and anything that we make from that I'll try to get some shirts, some team shirts for you and things. So that's all that money is going to is directly to the players. I'm going to try to get some shirts for them. And we have like an entrepreneur class that has some machines where they can actually print press shirts. So they're going to probably make them for us and everything. So or if they can, or if nothing else, they'll show us how to work the machines, and me and my assistant coach will do it. So I don't want to put something off on someone. I don't mean it that way, but I want to do something special for them. And so they've put a lot of hard work this season, both JV and varsity, and I'm just pleased with the overall growth of this program. I'm above and beyond excited about what the future holds.
Yeah, it's absolutely been a great season to, like I said, I've followed it just by keeping up with the statistics and the, your win-loss record, the scores and different things like that. I know you've got a tough game. I think it's this Monday, East Row Inn. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the county rivalry games, like they can go either way, and because really it's more of playing for pride, in the
Hmm.
county. And East Rowan has grown significantly as a program this year. I mean, and it's great, to see that. Like I know that, while I'm coaching Carson, I'm obviously biased for Carson because that's my team, and
Hmm.
we spend a lot of time like working with players, but like it's really nice when we're not playing East Rowan to see kind of success stories or like any other Rowan County team, West Rowan, South Rowan. I love just to see that in Rowan County soccer is on the rise, and it's deciding that each program, not just one, is growing. And it's prideful, to be like a native Rowan County citizen and seeing that. And soccer's my favorite sport, so I'm
Hmm.
extra happy about that. So yeah, we got a tough game against them. They're a pretty strong team. And I mean, they've knocked off Concord, who is the number one seed in our conference. I don't know if they still are tonight. I mean, today, because we were able to beat them last night in
Yes.
an incredible match. And incredible match. I'm just over the moon about it. But and it's also senior night. So it's our last home game. And I think a lot of the teachers are coming out, which the boys are really excited about that. And, their parents are going to be there. I think there might be a student section. I don't want to like say there is if there's not, but I know that the orange and blue crew have been working towards trying to get a student section together for the game. And so it's going to be a great night. So would love to have you out if you're available. And it's going to be a good game no matter whatever side you sit on. It's 6 o'clock start time. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I spoke. It's kind of funny. Not long after you and I spoke at the start of the season, I spoke with Norman Hodzik, who's the coach over there at East Row Inn. And he was telling me one of the challenges, and you and I really didn't get into this, but I kind of want to touch base with you here on it and with this particular interview. He was telling me one of the challenges that he has over there is East Row Inn's more of a baseball school, and he's been trying really hard to get the rest of the school excited about soccer.
Yeah.
Carson, I know, is a little bit different in terms of, to me, it's kind of a toss up. Maybe with you being on the inside, looking out, being on the outside looking in, maybe you see it differently. But to me, I think that Carson has kind of like volleyball's pretty big there, football's pretty big there, theater and arts really big there. So and maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but tell me what you see from that aspect.
Well, you're when you think about it, like, and I was sitting here thinking about it while you were, talking. I don't really know what you can kind of label Carson. We're kind of like a hodgepodge of things,
Hmm.
like you were saying, like we got the theater program that's huge here, and the arts program. We're the School of the Arts, and it's really neat walking down the halls and seeing, just all these different groups of kids, that just get along, and
Yeah.
it's a neat feeling to work here at this place. But I don't know that I would say that we're one sport or the other type. I think that for here at Carson, like we like I know our athletic directors and our principals and everyone pretty much supports everyone,
Yeah.
across the board. Like we really do. And, the teachers come out to all the games and stuff. But I think in Rowan County in general, because soccer is fairly new. Like, I mean, when I was growing up, and gosh, I'm showing my age here. I'm 38 years old, and I never heard of soccer until I got to middle school. And the only reason I played is because it was more of a club soccer. It was weird. It wasn't affiliated with the school, but it was weird. And you could play in sixth grade, where every other sport that was school sponsored, you couldn't play till seventh. And that, of course, I was really athletic and into sports. So I was like, yeah, let me try this, and then fell in love with it. But there was no clubs around here. And unfortunately,
Hmm.
there's still not a major club here that can develop kids. They have to go to like CSA or Lake Norman. But because of that, because we don't have those clubs and things established, I think that just people of Rowan County are not familiar with the game. So they don't really understand it. Like you
Right.
don't understand that you can't just call a timeout. I
Mhm.
don't know much about a ton of other sports, but I just off the top of my head, I think we're one of the only sports that you have to play at the high school level, at least 40 minutes nonstop with no redirect. The only redirect that you might get is a substitution,
Right.
So where basketball and everything else, if something's not going right, they can call timeout and coach can, coach them up a little bit. Not us. We have to wait till halftime, and then they go out and play 40 more minutes. So I think that's the key is that, with baseball and football, and even softball now, I think softball is really on the rise in Rowan
Mhm.
County, because it's similar to baseball. And it's, people are comfortable with that because they know a lot about it and they've been around it. But like with soccer, that's not necessarily true because a lot
Right.
of people around here, we don't have those clubs, that others do. And so I think that's the key. Like, I really, really wish, and I think I've talked to you about that before. I wish we had some kind of system set up here in Rowan County that would train kids at a young age, the proper techniques and stuff for soccer. And
Yeah.
by doing that, their parents are getting into it and they're learning about the game. And
Mhm.
that's how you kind of change that culture, across the board. So unfortunately, we lack that. And I would love to see that change in the future. Love to see it.
Yeah,
Obviously, I benefit from that too. So, so
absolutely. And so you did mention the redirects, and I agree with you. I mean, just from knowing the sport so well myself, you can't break up the momentum like you could in another sport. If the opposing club gets on a run and they're just your team's all just discombobulated, if you will, you can't just call a timeout, bring them over, and get them settled back down. You do get the substitutions, but just to explain it to folks who aren't familiar. So if you watch on, we'll just use MLS as an example right now, since they're getting ready to enter their playoffs, and obviously we've got a big match coming up Saturday in Charlotte. But they have basically three windows they can do substitutions in during their matches. Are there any windows in high school? I mean, how many substitutions are you allowed to do in high school soccer?
I mean, it's really unlimited. The only, I say unlimited, and then I'm going to tell you limit. There's no limit for numbers. So,
Right.
like, I could sub one in, I could take a person out right now, put another one in, and then,
Hmm.
like, literally have a discussion with him and then put him back on the line to be ready
Hmm.
for the next substitution. What your limits come in on whose possession the ball is. So, if Carson knocks the ball out of bounds, then it's obviously the other team's ball to be able to do a throw in, to throw the ball back in play. Well, I cannot sub on their throw in. If they have possession of the ball, they're getting ready to throw the ball in, unless they have a substitution, like in their subbing, then I can't. Now, if they have a player at the line and they yell sub because it's their ball, they're getting ready to throw the ball in, then the referee will allow me to switch out my player as well,
Right.
because the game is stopped for them because they have possession of the ball. But I have to wait for my team to get possession, and sometimes that takes an eternity. I'm not kidding you.
Hmm.
One day, and I think it was this season, or I don't know, or last season, I cannot remember, but there was one day where the ball was going out of bounds, but it was us knocking it out all the time. The other team was not subbing at all. And I had a kid stand up there for 10 minutes or more.
Wow.
10 minutes. And I had another player like who was just gassed. They were just out of breath. They were
Hmm.
so tired. And I'm freaking out internally because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he can't run anymore. We need to give him a substitution so I can get some
Hmm.
fresh legs in there. But there's nothing I can do. Now, depending on the ref, and I say that because there's just a lot of inconsistency when it comes
Sure.
to what the rule actually is and what refs actually do. A lot of soccer is up for interpretation, which is extremely frustrating because there's not a lot of consistency with that. But some refs will allow you to sub on the other team's goal kick. So
Hmm.
if my team takes a shot and it goes out of bounds, behind the goal, then the other team has possession of the ball and they're getting ready to do a goal kick. Refs will, a lot of times, no matter whose goal kick it is, will let the other team sub.
Right.
But if it's a corner kick, then it has to be my corner.
Mm.
unless again the other team is subbing, or something. So, like it's tough, as a
Yeah.
coach, because you can win games and lose games by the substitutions that take place there. And you have to, soccer is an interesting sport because it's the only one that I know that you're going 40 minutes or really 80 minutes,
Yeah.
like an entire game, like nonstop sprinting, running. These
Mm.
boys and girls, and they have to be in great shape to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of times when they come to us after the summer break and winter,
Mm.
winter break, then they're not in shape. So you're spending a lot of time just running them,
Yes.
and then there's injuries because their bodies are not used
Mm.
to that, and they pull muscles and things. And so, I mean, I obviously have a passion for the game. I love it. I played it in college and played in North Rowan that's where I went to school, and I have a passion for it. And so, I would love to see Rowan County really get big into soccer, and really grow to be one of these competitive counties, with sports and stuff. So, like if we're going back to the original thing, East Rowan, hats off to them, man. They have just grown tremendously as a program this year. So as South Rowan, they're typically strong anyway, but that's our rival. And West Rowan too, they have maintained it. So it's nice to see that happening in our county. And so, I'm hoping that we can continue to grow. And so we can just start knocking off, if we're still in the SPC, knocking off some Cabarrus County teams to take the
Yeah.
championship. I would love to see that. So it's been a while since Carson has. I was assistant coach for 3 years when we won
Mm.
the conference championship 3 years in a row, 2013, 2014, and 2015. And that's the last time that I think any Rowan County team has won the conference championship with Cabarrus County schools. And the last time that we had beaten Concord since
Wow.
last night. So, except for
Yeah.
last night. So it's a big game last night. Very
Yeah,
excited.
definitely. So let's talk about that because so it's interesting. Like I said, I haven't been able to get to one yet, but I feel like I've been at some because you've got some very passionate parents that are coming that do come to the games, and myself and Mike with the my mind went blank. Mike London with the Salisbury Post. We get some tag team tweets from time to time from Andrew Cornelius, who
Yes,
he,
absolutely. Wyatt's. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
He beat me to
he
it.
keeps us updated, and I certainly appreciate it because you can. It's interesting. You can read the passion in his tweet, or I guess I'm going to call it tweet. I don't know. It might be called X now. I don't know how you refer to
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but
I will still go with tweets.
yeah,
We'll go with that because that's just what we're used to, and everybody recognizes that. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have the parents to do that
yes,
because obviously I'm running the Carson soccer one
hmm,
as well as my own personal one. Sometimes I'll be on my personal one and post something. I'm like, man, I was supposed to be on the other one. I have to retweet it because of that. You just don't. It just intermixes. But when I'm coaching, I'm so passionate and I'm so into what's happening
hmm,
on the field that like I don't have a chance to like put that stuff out until after the fact. And then
yes,
a lot of times I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm so frustrated about losing a game that I just don't post anything because I'm just mad. And so
yeah,
and that sounds terrible. I know, I admit it, but I'm just still fuming from the games because I'm very competitive. I'm a very competitive person. I was a very competitive athlete when I was younger, and I don't play obviously anymore because I'm too old and things break these days. But yeah, but I'm still just very competitive through them. Like it's just those, and I think most coaches feel this way. Like
hmm,
those are my boys. Those,
yes,
and in the spring they're my girls, and I didn't
yep,
birth them, or I will not lay claim to that at all. But like I'm very passionate about my players, and you spend so much time together. During season. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day. Like I work literally 69 hours a week. Like, I mean,
hmm,
I don't know how to survive, Red Bull, thank God. But yeah, you spend so much time together,
hmm.
that, sorry, the bell.
No,
Um,
you're fine.
we spend so much time together that you've become close and you care. You develop these relationships with these players, and they become like your second children. And so I just very passionate about them and what they do. And that, man, it's just, I get into it, and then I have to calm myself down. And then the next day, me and my assistant coach, we always get here at Carson early, and typically after the games, either I'll go to his room or he'll come to my room, and we'll just talk things out. And like whether it was a bad loss that loss that we shouldn't have had, we'll talk about, well, what we got to do to fix it. And or like if it's a major win, then we just like smile and talk about it a little bit and how proud of the players. I mean, I'm proud of them across the board, but it's just games like that. Like that was a tough team, and
Yeah.
there's no easy teams in the SPC. You're never, from game to game, you cannot guarantee what the outcome is going to be. And I say that to them every single time. And every game, like they come out here, and it's just, for the most part, except for maybe like one or two, I will say that, I mean, everybody has off games, but they put in so much hard work. And
Hmm.
we were talking, I think because they're so young, our big thing this year, is quite different than last year. Me and my coach were discussing this. Like last year, we had players that are seniors, obviously they've have a lot of experience, but they were very good finishers. And what I mean by that is, they could finish the ball in the back of the net. They could score goals and stuff, easy, but they just didn't, across the board, I would say, consistently have that work ethic. Like they might have a hard working game, and I'm like, yes. I mean, this is perfect. Like we can do so many great things. And then the next game, they're just like, we're just not into it. Like, and we're at halftime, and like, what's going on? They're like, we're just not checked in, coach. I'm like, well, let's check in. So, but that was last year. And, then we graduated 12 seniors, and I thought, oh, well, like, this season is going to be a struggle because we do have talented players on there. It's just, we just didn't have that, I don't say leadership, but we just didn't have that finishing and experience that we have in the past. And I thought, okay, this is gonna be a little struggle and rebuild, but man, no, like this year, these kids have really surprised me. They really want it, and they worked so
Yeah.
hard for it every single game. Our issue is that a lot of times we just haven't been finishing our opportunities. We have plenty of opportunities, but they tend to second guess themselves, and again, it's experience, their
Hmm.
youthful experience. But man, last night everything came together, and
Yeah.
we've practicing, just finishing, for the past couple of days at practice, because that was our big thing. It's just like we just haven't been able to finish these opportunities. We can play games and we'll have possession of the ball 96% of the time, but we just don't score any goals, and we end up tied, or we end up losing games, and it's very frustrating. It's a whole different level of frustration as a coach. And then, but last night they came together, and I said, look, we got to have that mental toughness, that if things don't go our way, if calls don't go our way, we have to persevere no matter what. Like we have to persevere and keep working hard, and like keep believing and keep following through with the shots, and not just sitting and watching and then the ball bouncing off the crossbar and then us not getting to it first because
Yeah.
we're too busy ball washing. That's all youthful things. But yeah, we did last night, like they just capitalized on things, and they held their composure no matter what, and played great soccer. And then in the last 5 minutes, we had a breakaway, and we were a man down. So I had
Hmm.
a player that got 2 yellow cards. And if anybody doesn't know what that means, a yellow card is kind of a warning for like a
Yep.
hard tackle. And if you get a second yellow card, that automatically equals a red. And
Yep. And
so
you're out.
then the player's out
Yep.
for the rest of the game, but your team has to play a man down. So the
Hmm.
other team has the advantage. They had more players on the field than we did. And so for us, like, we are a man down, and man, we just got this breakaway, and one of their players slid in by, or I don't say slid in, but like a tackle in the box, and prevented my player from scoring on that opportunity, which was the
Hmm.
game, been the game deciding goal. And that he got red carded, and I don't want to say ejected, but he got removed from the game because of the play. He'll be back next game they play, but he did get removed for that, and they had to play a man down. But that gave us a penalty kick, and I was all nervous. I couldn't even watch the penalty kick. I'm just being honest. Like I was just like, oh, I can't watch this because again, glad I'm just, really into the
Hmm.
games. I just like expecting the worst. We're going to miss it, because we have missed these in the past.
Sure,
And
yeah.
it was so much pressure because um, that I don't say county rivalry, but that conference rivalry, like
Yes.
our big conference rival. And there's a lot of pressure, and there was a lot of people at the game. And I thought, oh, these boys, like, I don't know if they're going to be able to handle that pressure because, they're young and we've been struggling with mental toughness all season. And, but my captain, and for the same reason I call him my captain, senior, stepped up and said, I'm taking that.
Hmm.
And I just couldn't watch because I was just so emotionally invested in that. But then I hear the screams from our side after I hear the hit. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're up, So, oh gosh, I was so excited. And then they were staying calm and composed, and it was neat to see that leadership on
Hmm.
the field, not just from my captain who's a senior,
Right.
but like these juniors started stepping up and these sophomores started stepping up.
Hmm.
Like, we still got a game to play. The game's not over. We got
That's
4 more
right.
minutes left, because we were overtime at that period. So, for those that don't know, overtime is you play 80 minutes I don't say nonstop, you get 40 minutes and then another halftime, 10-minute halftime. Then you have another 40 minutes.
Hmm.
And then if it's a conference match, then it goes into overtime. And so overtime consists of 2 10-minute periods. So, and you have like a 2 or 3 minute halftime in there for them to get a drink of water and you to redirect for the last 10 minutes. And after that, if it's tied, it stays tied. And so, gosh, how many overtime periods we've been through this year. Oh my gosh, it's more. I believe we've been through more overtimes this season than I have in my whole coaching career up to this year. And so, and that's girls and guys. I mean, we've probably been like 6 or 7 overtimes this season,
Wow.
like, because we haven't been able to finish things. And um, so yeah, they redirected and they're like, look, we've still got 4 minutes left. And so they were just battling it because we knew Concord was going to come back and just try their best
Hmm.
to like equalize it up. And then they made another mistake. And my player, Tony, and I told you he's just fast as lightning. When we talked earlier,
Yeah.
he just flies through like he did the first time to get
Hmm.
that, the PK. And he had that breakaway, and I guess he sensed that he probably couldn't hit the shot, so he
Hmm.
pulled the ball back. And when he did, it allowed time for the rest of their team to get back.
Mm.
But he tried to cut through again, and one of them made a mistake, and they fouled him at the top of the box.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't in the box for another PK, but it was at the
Right.
top of the 18-yard box. And Jeffrey Moreno, that kid I told you in that
Yes.
interview, I said he's a junior. He's lacked the confidence
Yep.
in the past, but he had that skill. He scored our first goal that put us on up, 1-0 at the half, like the
Hmm.
actual, like during regular play. But he's like, I got this, I'm taking this shot. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you do it. Take it. And he hit the most beautiful goal we've seen. And we went up 3-1. And at that point, you can kind of see like Concord on their faces. They knew that was it. And we were just pumped, so pumped up. And so our JV, there's some footage. We have a guy who's nice enough to come around to some of these big games. He's got a
Hmm.
passion for soccer too. His name is 704 Sports Network. And
Hmm.
he was the guy at the very beginning of the season that put out like preseason projections, and he put
Hmm.
us dead last. And oh yeah, the players are a little worked up, and I was, a little bit too. 'Cause I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you don't really know what I got, but
Right.
okay, please underestimate us. I love that. Just that underestimation. They underestimate you, and then they he gave me that fire that I needed to light them up. I was like,
Hmm.
look, this guy, everybody's counting you out. Oh, we had so many little team meetings about that and got them
Hmm.
fired up, before games. And so he was actually there and for that game. And we're obviously the underdogs
Hmm.
because, they are the first seed. And he recorded a lot, all the goals. He had all the goals recorded, and he put out a little highlight reel last night. And oh man, I was so proud of them. I was so proud of them. That was probably, I've been coaching like close to 14 years roughly, soccer, high school soccer, and it's 13 or 14. They all blend together, and that's not even counting seasons like of teams.
Mhm.
But this is probably the greatest win I've had. I did get my 100 wins this year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I got my 100 varsity wins this year, so that was a big one for me for a personal milestone. But like that game was the probably the greatest win we've gotten because it was just it was poetic. I
Yeah.
don't know how to say it. It was very poetic,
Yeah.
the dog team taking down the big dog and you know, like, and especially since we haven't beaten them in 8 years and it was pretty important for them. They tied them the first round. We played, tied them, and it was a very close game then, and we knew it was going to be tonight and or excuse me, last night. And but man, I'm so proud of them. Like I am, and I don't say that nearly as often as I should because glass half empty type person. Always about what can we do to improve, and they need that, but they need me to tell them more that I'm proud of them. But I am, man, what a great game. They work so hard. So sorry.
No, no, you're all good. You're all good.
So
So, season's wrapping up, obviously, not many games left. You are, as you have said, on the verge of possibly making the playoffs. Still a little bit of work to do. Um, when do you anticipate you'll find out for sure whether you did or didn't?
well, everything's not officially like calculated
Hmm.
until the end of the season. So they're next week. I think next Friday. I have to look at the exact date on North Carolina High School Athletic Association's website. The final reporting day, where you have to post on a site called Max Preps. If
Hmm.
you weren't familiar with that, what your scores are for things, and that feeds into this set. They have like a formula that they use to
Hmm.
calculate your winning percentage and things based on not just how many games you won, but also who your opponents that you beat are, what
Hmm.
their winning percentage is, and your opponent's opponent. So we have not had a ton of wins because like all of the games that I scheduled this year that were non-conference were tough teams. Like we played,
Right.
West Cabarrus, and we played them against next season, and next week, and they have a player that just signed with UNC Chapel Hill. I mean,
Hmm.
we're playing very tough teams. North Iredale, we played them twice, and every single one of our Sun Valley, another 4A team. We play tough teams because we're going to face tough competition if we go into
Hmm.
playoffs. We got to get better, and the
That's
only way you
right.
get better is if you have to work harder by playing harder teams. And so, I'm maybe have shot myself in the foot in certain places when it comes to winning percentage, but I want them to be a great team, and they have to play great teams to become a great team. And I think it's helped us a little bit too playing some of these teams. And so we'll have to finish out conference. We have Monday East Rowan. We have the non-conference against West Cabarrus on Tuesday, and then our final game. This is a big one. I'm a little nervous about it because we're playing 3 games in a row. And I'll be quite honest, when I scheduled it, I didn't think that was going to happen because um, typically it rains a lot more
Right.
during the season than it has this year. And we get
Yeah.
a lot of rainouts, and we have to drop games and things and move
Hmm.
things around. But I've only had one game that we've had to move, and that was like the first week of the season.
Right.
So we play Northwest Cabarrus as our final conference game on Wednesday. And once everything's in, I would think by the end of next week I'll be able to tell you for sure. But there's a lot of more things that go into it, like
Sure.
there's some surprises that they throw in. Like there's some teams that play a split 3A, 4A conference
Hmm.
because of where they're located. And because the 3A team is forced to play all these 4A teams, a lot of times the state will give them an automatic bid into playoffs, because
Right.
of that. And so last year we were on the verge of going, and because of one or two of those being added in, we got bumped. And
Mm.
so 24, if we can maintain 24, I don't think there's going to be an issue, and
Right.
this will be the first year in 8 years we've been to playoffs. So fingers crossed, but it's not over until it's over. And so
Yes.
we cannot say, oh, we're going to get in there. I don't want to jinx it because you never know what's coming up next week and what can happen. And, in this conference, anything can happen. So, but we just keep focusing on the next one.
Sure.
And next one is Monday against East Rowan, and it's senior night. And hopefully we can keep our heads on straight because it's senior night and, finish what we started. And so, big game for us for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only reason I asked that question because obviously Saturday and Sunday, but Saturday especially they call it decision day for the Major League Soccer. So folks that may be watching those games, being in the media and some of the ways that some of my marketing friends like to do, they want to put out every scenario possible on how a team may or may not make the playoffs. Uh, Obviously, with Charlotte FC coming up Saturday, the clear thing is they got to win, right? But if they do win, then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, this team needs to lose, this team needs to lose, or this team can win and this team can lose. There's so many different scenarios that get thrown out there, and so I always like to ask that because I know a lot of folks that may be watching this will look at it and go, well, how do they, how can they not know until absolutely the last minute? So I'm glad you explained that because there's certainly a lot more to it than just what you get from the TV perspective of we're going to tell you every possible way they're either going to make it or they're not because we just want you to watch. So,
I mean, I think for us, like if we beat the teams that we have beaten before, so East Rowan, we
mhm.
beat them before, and then we beat Northwest Cabarrus
Yep,
before. So if we win those games, then I think that there's no
no
reason
doubt.
why I can't say.
Yeah,
I'd say I'll be like 99.9% sure that we would go, but anything can happen. So,
sure.
I think right now the focus is, hey, we're going to continue, and we always practice that way.
Yep,
Even last year, it was not, hey, we're on the verge of going or we're not. It was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and prepare for the first game of the playoffs.
that's right.
So then when we find out for sure that Monday when they release the brackets, then obviously I can send out a message to say, hey, we're in, hey, we're not, and then
Yep.
we go from there. But yeah, we we're hopeful and we're planning, and
Mhm.
we just take it one game at a time.
Absolutely. Well, that's the best way to look at it. Even when I'm giving out weather scenarios and forecast, especially with hurricane coming or maybe a winter storm coming, we always say it's better to be prepared and not need it than to not be prepared and need it. So that's absolutely the best way to look at it.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Well, Coach West, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we'll certainly touch base. I'll keep folks updated, with scoring updates for your next couple of games, and maybe you and I can stay in touch and find out about the playoffs. And if the team makes it, certainly hope to be talking some more Carson soccer, some playoff soccer for sure, and getting that squared away. And then you and I will definitely have to reconnect for the girls coming up in the spring.
Absolutely. So yeah, I feel the same way. Hopefully we keep talking because that means we're keeping going,
That's right.
going. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you.